Hello, today is March 28th, 2026, and today is the 39th day of Lent. It's the penultimate day of Lent. It's Saturday, and I woke up this morning, and very similar to yesterday, actually. I woke up, and it's Saturday, so I don't need to get up for anything. Laid there for what felt like a while, and finally it was like, all right, I'm gonna get up, and it was 7:15, but there was no point in delaying it any longer, so got up and got ready, then did my hour meditation, and then from there went to the coffee shop and journaled, and then read a couple chapters of the Universal Christ. And then after that, I went on a walk from the coffee shop and walked to the gathering place, and then sat at the pond at the gathering place. And while I was walking and while I was sitting there, I was listening to season 4 of Richard Rohr's new podcast, which is on the Enneagram, because my friend Monica, she just recently was introduced to and is interested in the Enneagram. And then I saw that Richard Rohr's the author of the book that I'm reading, his new podcast is, or newest season is on Enneagram, because he wrote, a lot of people know Richard Rohr because he wrote a very good book about the Enneagram many, many years ago. It's probably easily 10 years, but probably more than that. And he has been studying and using the Enneagram in his personal life and in his pastoral duties and counseling for 40, 50 years. So he's very well knowledgeable and versed in it. And since Monica and I were talking about the other day, I was just interested to see if the podcast would be a good thing to send her. And ultimately, I think no, because it's very much, the podcast is, I think there are probably better resources for her with less triggering language, because the podcast is very much from a Christian perspective, which is also interesting, just that Enneagram has gone through waves and seasons of, popularity, and it's having another renaissance within the Renaissance right now. And Enneagram is not necessarily, it's not owned by the Christians, but it very much trying to figure out what it has, I guess, like Christian roots / its popularity is in part because of Christian traditions using it. It's probably not entirely accurate language to use, but it has an overlap with Christianity, is ultimately what I'm trying to say. And then I walked back to the coffee shop, and today is worldwide. Okay. It's another No Kings protest day, and there was a large No Kings protest that I walked through to get back to the coffee shop, and very much in support of that movement and protest. And I mean, it's, anti-MAGA, anti-Trump protest is what it is, and all for that. Uh, but I am just, I don't know, I'm kind of disillusioned with protest in general. Not that I understand and see their value, because just having public demonstrations is a valuable thing in a free culture. And but it's, and uh there quite possibly could be a ripple effect of change because of public demonstrations. But I'm disillusioned just because I feel like a lot of protests that I've just seen in my adult life, they're more self-aggrandizing public rally of like-minded individuals to pat themselves on the back, and no immediate or lasting change comes from it. It's um, a photo op to say I'm doing something, and that doing something isn't actually doing anything. I'm saying that out of the same mouth that I just said. There could be a lasting ripple effect that can come from a public demonstration. Also, exercising our constitutional right for public demonstration is good. It's kind of like a trademark. Like if you don't use it's I forget what the exact term is, like the genericization of a trademark makes you lose your trademark. The example being Kleenex, how Kleenex has become a word we use to call facial tissues. All facial tissues, Americans, we call it a Kleenex. But Kleenex is an actual trademarked brand of facial tissues. And relating that to if Kleenex doesn't protect their brand in the same way Google has become a generic term for searching, and so they both have to protect the usage of their name in order to protect their trademark, their rights to that trademark, instead of being taken by the public domain. That while I do feel disillusioned with protests, I think protests need to continue to happen to exercise our right to protect the right to begin with. Then there's the positive side of gathering with like-minded individuals just to fill your nervous system full of serotonin and oxytocin, and walking away from an event like that feeling charged and more positive about your outlook on the state of the world, because you were surrounded and around so many people who are in agreement that things are not as they should be. Whereas if you are isolated and alone and only online, you can fall into despair. So I also understand the immediate positive effect a protest can have on the participants of that protest, even if there is no change had by people who they're protesting against. That nobody, there's not a group of people that they're protesting in front of that see this, large group of people and they're like, I must rethink my worldview because look at all these people with these signs that are that snarky sign made me rethink my entire identity, and shift their perspective. Or the large group of people being in a space that it illuminates that people are driving by who live in the opposing bubble, and they're so deep in that bubble that they couldn't even imagine somebody protesting, and then they see such a large gathering of people protesting, that it at least breaks them out of the deep bubble that they're in, seeing people outside of it, although they justify and excuse it away because it's they're all paid to be there to potentially change my mind. I'm in support of it. I'm in support of public demonstration. I'm very much in support of No Kings movement and protest. There's no dark political agenda behind it other than there is a maniac who is our elected president who's subverting all checks and balances to make himself an icon, a god, a king, literally putting his name on the 250th commemorative currency of our land, putting his name on every building he can possibly put his name on. Just, small king behavior. And so the laughability, the outrage, the absurdity of it all, definitely for the standing up against, coming together as a community and saying, oh, what the fuck? And understand the positive impact that can happen in each individual's outlook of hope that attend, the very rare but potential change of a person who witnesses the protest but isn't a part of it. And then the potential that the movement at large ripples into positive change in an unknown future. But at this point it's like I don't need the camaraderie for my outlook of hope, and there's not some sort of need, that of showing off what's that called? Whenever it's like whenever you're doing good for the image of you doing good, conspicuous. I forget. Um, I don't have that drive in me. Um, I don't need to show off some. I don't have a snarky sign that I want to go show my brethren. Um, and I'm not a politically active person. Um, yeah. All that to say, I walked through a No Kings protest and um, yay, honk, 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 honk. Full sport, full agreement, but then just verbalizing why I don't feel a need to go. I didn't even know it was happening, like legitimately. Um, I didn't know it was No Kings protest day until literally today, whenever I saw it. And didn't even feel, sometimes in these cases and environments, like I feel, I want to be a part of it, but I also want to capture it as an artist and as a documentarian, a photographer. But even that today, I had no interest in that today. Ultimately, I guess because of just disillusioned with the whole thing, I guess. I don't know. Or I'm not in the mood today. I mean, it could be as simple as that. Just, I don't know, not in the mood today. There's nothing to be gained by me being there. There's no there's no vote I'm putting in, and that's going to give one more number to, some funding or whatever. I don't need it. They don't need me there. But the 2 chapters that I read in the Universal Christ today, that gave me life. And that's what I want to talk about. The title of this chapter is Love is the Meaning. And love, which might be called the attraction of all things toward all things, is a universal language and underlying energy that keeps showing itself despite our best efforts to resist it. It is so simple that it is hard to teach in words, yet we all know it when we see it. After all, there is not a native Hindu, Buddhist, Jewish, Islamic, or Christian way of loving. There is not a Methodist, Lutheran, or Orthodox way of running a soup kitchen. There's not a gay or straight way of being faithful, nor a black or Caucasian way of hoping. We all know positive flow when we see it, and we all know resistance and coldness when we feel it. All the rest are mere labels. Love and water seek not the higher place, but always the lower. Love is constantly creating future possibilities for the good of all concerned, even and especially when things go wrong. Love allows and accommodates everything in human experience, both the good and the bad, and nothing else can really do this. Nothing. Love flows unstoppably downward around every obstacle like water. The idea of waking up versus cleaning up is such a good one and such a good reminder. Religion at its best helps people to bring this foundational divine love into ever increasing consciousness. In other words, it's more about waking up than about cleaning up. Early stage religion tends to focus on cleaning up, which is to say which is to say, determining who meets the requirements for moral behavior and religious belief. But Jesus threw a wrench into this whole machinery by refusing to enforce or even bother with what he considered secondary issues like Sabbath, ritual laws, purity codes, membership requirements, debt codes, and so on and on. He saw they were only human commandments which far too often took the place of love. Or as he puts it in another place, you hypocrites, you pay your tithes and neglect the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and good faith. Cleaning up is a result of waking up, but most of us put the cart before the horse. This is why love and growth demand discernment, not enforcement. Mere obedience is far too often a detour around actual love. Obedience is usually about cleaning up. Love is about waking up. At this point, at least in the United States, it appears that our cultural meaning has pretty much shrunk down to this. It is all about winning. Then, once you win, it becomes all about consuming. That idea of waking up versus cleaning up, in the last few days I've and even today, but the No Kings protests, like just thinking about political things and why I just naturally lean towards left thinking ideals and find myself just without somebody laying out the leftist policies and right policies, and without me being a card-carrying member of the Republican Party or the Democrat Party, and just living my life, feeling the world, and just naturally living my life in pursuit of Christ and feeling the world, and then finding myself more naturally aligning with the center left, because love and growth demand discernment, not enforcement. That Jesus comes to set us free, and free indeed. God unfolds your personhood from within through a constant increase in freedom, even freedom to fail. Love cannot happen in any other way. That is why Paul shouts in Galatians, "For freedom Christ has set us free." And I'm for people's growth. I'm for people's movement of love. And mere obedience is far too often a detour around actual love. Obedience is usually about cleaning up. Love is about waking up. And even, in our current cultural state of affairs, there's this war on woke, because the asleep can't even... It has been branded as negative, but the powers that be, the money and control, the cultural meaning in the United States shrunken down to winning, and then once you win, it becomes about consuming. That those who are trying to win, and ultimately that they all win, if we consume, if we're too distracted by the war between each other, than to fight the ones that have already won. And we get distracted by consuming because our culture has become a culture of winning and consuming. And that's what brings meaning in our culture. That is what brings meaning. And number one, to be free of that is to be woke. It is to be awake to the fact that it's happening, and then choosing to live a different life. That is being awake to the reality. There's left and right want people to be asleep to this fact. But then it's just funny, the right propaganda against waking up, against raising your consciousness to a level of understanding so that you know that there even is a larger system that wants to keep you asleep. They literally propagandized waking up, and that to be woke is to be anti-Christian. To be woke is to be anti-Republican. And those that are asleep are controlled, and they don't realize it. And because I have an artistic, because I'm an artist, I'm a canary in a coal mine, somebody who is more sensitive to the energy around me than the cultural mass, and what makes me, which is my unique gifting, it is the value that I bring to the community, as each individual has their value, equal value that we bring to the wholeness of the community. The value that my uniqueness brings is a sensitivity to the energy of culture, and I see things before and outside of what people see, of what the mass sees, and try to, through my expression, break through that wall and show people the things that I see. It is the canary in the coal mine that it's more sensitive to the toxic air than the larger creatures around, and it alerts those who aren't paying attention to heed warning and to get out. And the only way that I know how to do this is just to continue just being me in my full expressiveness, and listening for the next right thing, the next step to take, the next thing to make, and just doing that. But just, I got on that rabbit hole of just thinking about that, the left being awakened to these things, the right propagandizing being awake as a negative thing, is just so dystopian and wild. And that is not to say that you can't be awake and on the right politically, because you absolutely can. And there are very much people who have good faith, intelligent debate and conversation across political lines, 100%. But just my sensibilities make me see things on a social left side. See you tomorrow.